So excited today to have Sarah with us. Sarah is from Virginia, which is where I grew up. And I don't know if you're from there, but that's where you live, at least right now.
I've
And
lived here for over 25 years.
yeah, so you've seen it go through a lot of changes.
Yeah.
It's so magical there, so beautiful, really close to a beautiful place called Occoquan that really hold near and dear to my
hmm
heart, and especially this time of year.
hmm
So we're recording this episode right towards the peak of autumn, which is something I miss living out here on the West Coast.
hmm
So Sarah, I'd love to learn about you, your story, and kind of give us a little story about yourself, how you got here, and what's really important to you.
Thank you. Well, I think I pretty much started out pretty normal in the sense that I know I really wanted to have a career, and I grew up on a farm in Massachusetts, so there wasn't a whole lot of money, and so I was one of the early classes of women at the Coast Guard Academy, and ended up doing a 20-year career in the Coast Guard and got to see a lot of different things. But I had a non-traditional career in the Coast Guard in the sense that I was an engineer, and so I was a chief engineer on the ship at one point, and so that was my kind of dream. I really enjoyed it, and then I retired, and because I didn't want to move anymore, and because I love Virginia, and so I started working in the federal government and worked my way up there, and became a senior executive, and had a lot of commuting stress.
Yeah.
Washington D.C. is, I think, the first or second worst traffic in the nation,
Yeah, I think it's the
and
first. Yeah.
yeah, and I can tell you, it's pretty bad. And
Hmm. Hmm.
so I was commuting that every day, and also working really long hours. So I didn't have much balance. But then I also got sick, and so I got Lyme disease, which is you get that from a tick, and I might have gotten it when I was gardening or outside with my horse at the time. I also like to ride. And so I spent 10 years in the traditional medical establishment because I just assumed that, this isn't really all that bad and they should be able to fix it.
Yeah.
So after in trying multiple different antibiotics and steroids, and, I used to run ultra marathons, which are 50-mile races.
Wow.
I used to run those, and then by the end of this 10 years, all I could do was sit behind my desk and not move, and then that was the only way I could be out of pain.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so
Wow.
it was pretty debilitating, and I knew where it was going because they say Lyme disease shows up as 350 other things, and one of them is multiple sclerosis and all these things that could possibly lead to a wheelchair. And I said, well,
Yeah.
I just need something different. And so I started searching, and I found out about blue rooms.
Mhm.
And at the time, there was only one or two on the West Coast. They had just started. And so I went out there with the hope that I said, well, this has got to do something because I'm not getting better. And so my first session, I just felt wonderful. And, all those antibiotics really mess up your gut, which is where 70% of your immune system
I
is.
know.
So you really can't heal yourself if you don't have a healthy gut. So I could feel stuff moving around, and I just felt wonderful afterwards. So I said, I need to keep doing this. And soon thereafter, there's about 5 or 6 blue rooms now up in Canada. We started driving to Canada about every 4 months,
Wow.
and we would do, 4 or 5 days of session every day, and the pain would go away, and I would feel wonderful. And eventually it stayed away. And one of the things that I talk about with clients here is your mental focus is that instead of checking to see if it worked, you need to put your mind on, I've always been healthy, I've always been free of pain, and just decide that's the way you're going to live your life. And the blue room gives you the space to do that. And so anyway, after doing that several times, I really started feeling normal. And then I decided that, to retire because I became retirement eligible and was really getting tired of the commute. And so then when I retired, I was really enjoying retirement. And I thought, wow, I guess we could keep going to the blue rooms. And then some friends said, well, why don't you have one here, Sarah? You're retired now. You can go do this.
Right, right. So
And
obvious, but
yeah,
not.
yeah. So it's really pretty funny. I just didn't really think that that could be possible. And so as we started really looking into it, it kind of came together, and here we are, and we made the commitment in February of 2020. And of course,
Mhm.
COVID hit in March of 2020.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a little bit scary, but actually, ultraviolet light and viruses just don't get along. So it's actually, if you're going to open up a business during a pandemic, that's probably one of the better businesses to open up.
Right, right. That's very interesting. Yeah, I want to learn all about the blue room because that sounds really fascinating as a healing modality. But I love there's just so much I want to say. My goodness, like what a story. First of all, that's incredible. And Lyme's disease can be completely debilitating. I know so
Yes.
many people who were either in wheelchairs or who were wildly healthy, and who have completely regained their health, but it had to be in a way that was alternative.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately, modern medicine doesn't really have the solution to Lyme's disease yet. They may never
Mhm.
really understand it even. And then the diagnosis, and then the false positives and negatives. It's a really tough diagnosis to have. And it sounds like, gosh, you were just so healthy, an ultra marathoner.
Yeah, I mean, for the
Wow.
steroids they put me on, I put on 75 pounds, which is really a bummer. And
Wow, that's intense.
so, it was really in that 10 years of having the Lyme, it really changed your life, really did.
Yeah, because it's so self-selecting, like where it will attack, if it's the muscle tissue, if it's the brain tissue, if it's, what it is. So it's really incredible story of, resilience that you have.
Thank you. Well, it changes too. I mean, I could be trying to exercise or something, and it felt like, someone was driving a nail in the side of my knees. And so I would go get them x-rayed to see, okay, I guess I must have run too much and my cartilage is finally going or something. And the orthopedic surgeon will tell you, no, you have knees of a 30-year-old. They look fine, but they hurt.
And so it's like this like really sneaky inflammation. I mean, could we
Yes.
simplify it to that, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it just kind of it's inflammation. As it advances, it becomes neurological, and so that's where you get some nerve stuff, but also it gets into your brain too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can if you let it get that far.
Right.
And
So something I wanted to ask you is that I'm so curious about these blue rooms. I've actually never heard of them. And that is saying something because I have heard about so much and I've seen people completely recover their health with different lifestyle medicine protocols.
Mhm.
Everything from far infrared saunas to cold plunging to different dietary regimens to acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Like there's so many different ways to come at it. And I think that the holistic model, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't gone through what you've gone through. The holistic model tends to work because it involves the whole mind, body, spirit.
Yes. And that's really what the blue rooms are about, is the conscious lifting, spirit lifting environment. What makes the blue room so special is they combined, say for instance, sacred geometry. It's the shape of an octagon,
It is?
and yes, and it's
Oh.
all mirrored on the inside.
Mm.
So it's absolutely stunning and beautiful, and it has ultraviolet lamps in it. So you use a combination of the ultraviolet lamps plus music, and there's also a tone, which is like a nice hum.
Like a
And
binaural beat, or is it like like just a hum? Not
no, it's
just.
just like a steady hum, and it's at
Okay.
111 hertz. And interesting about that 111 hertz is the studies, they did a study on it and shows that at 111 hertz, there's certain cells back in your cerebellum that get excited called Purkinje cells. And when they get excited, they regenerate, they fire, and then when they fire, they're regenerating cells. So you're
Oh
actually
my
regenerating
gosh.
cells in
So
that.
it's frequency therapy, sound therapy.
Frequency, sound, light, it's all one thing combined. So it's really, it's a unique environment.
Why is
And
it called blue though? It sounds like it's mirrored. Like
well,
blue,
the LED lighting in the room is blue, which is a visible light blue,
like an
which has
ultraviolet, like you were
also been
saying.
shown to be calming.
Uh-huh.
And then when the ultraviolet blue lights come on, they have a little bit of a blue tinge. Now, ultraviolet lights, the frequency is too high for you to see with the naked eye, so they put a a little bit of a color on the lights so you know that they're on, and so they have a
Hmm.
little bit of a blue tinge.
Hmm.
So it's those lights not only shine on you because sunlight is 95% ultraviolet A, which tans you, and then 5% ultraviolet B. When ultraviolet B touches your skin, it produces vitamin D.
Hmm.
So this is ultraviolet B, which is what produces the vitamin D part.
It's
And
amazing.
yeah, so it's and there's also studies out there to show the ultraviolet B on your skin helps with the diversity of your gut microbe, which, like I said before,
That makes sense.
70% of your immune system's in your gut. So,
Right. Wow, vitamin
things you can
D.
do for your gut is really good.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. And how long do you stay in the blue room?
Every session is 20 minutes long,
That's it.
and the
And you go
lights are
four
on
hours. You went to Canada drove 4 hours to Canada.
12 hours, actually.
That's right, because you're in Virginia. So that's,
Yes.
oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
and
So
a 20-minute session, or you did 4 sessions, while you were there. But like, I mean, that it must be so powerful for you to have gotten the results that you got.
it's just phenomenal, and everybody's different, but it's and everybody's experience is unique, so it's not a
Mm,
medical device,
right.
but there's testimonials out there of people healing cancer and everything else. It's wild, some of the things that that I've observed since owning the blue room for just over a year now. And
Mm,
and the stories are just phenomenal, but it's really about calming your mind,
mhm.
because you're in this part of your brain when you're I got to go do this, this is my to-do list, this is I got to go to this appointment. That's here in your brain, and that's the busy part.
Oh yeah.
And when you meditate, you have to shut that down. Well, when you go in the blue room, if you can shut that down, which the MRI scans have shown, the 111 hertz also helps to shut this down. So you can get back to the mid part of your brain, where you can get into a theta state, where that's that deep
Mm,
relaxation.
that's right.
And when you get into that deep relaxation, wonderful things can happen.
Ah, so true. You really initiate your body's innate healing process.
Yeah, and it's really focused on the mind and the spirit, because I mean, if you have say if you go get a massage, they're wonderful, they feel great, your body feels great.
Yeah.
This is more focused on your mind.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. There should be more. You mentioned there was only one on the East Coast, only 8 in the US.
Yes, there's one in Phoenix, Arizona, and in Oregon, and a couple up in Washington State, and Hawaii, and Missouri, and
Where in Hawaii?
I think it's on the Big Island.
Okay. So interesting. So people who suffer from anxiety, who want to maintain a healthy immune system, who have maybe are depressed, have Lyme's disease, MS, any kind of autoimmune disorder, any kind of disease prevention, even cardiovascular disease, diabetes. I mean, the Blue Room is really can benefit just about anyone, and young and old and everything in between. I mean, is that right? I don't
Absolutely.
actually know.
And there isn't any medical condition that couldn't benefit from a calmer mind.
I know, right?
And yeah, so you really, it's just fabulous to see. and that was probably one of the reasons I also wanted to do this, was I knew I could make a difference in people's lives. And I wished I had a blue room when I was under all that stress and I was trying to figure out how to heal. I wished I had it, way earlier. And
Yeah.
and
Gosh,
I
yeah.
wished I could have handled the stress better. It's just a wonderful extra tool in the toolbox.
Absolutely. And so Sarah, like if we were to like watch you from afar, because you've retired, even though you look really young.
Thank you. I was 61 this month.
Well, happy birthday and congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, and you've got like, your second career really right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
why not?
I know, right? Why not? And then, you served our country, as well, which is,
Thank you.
at least, yeah, that's how I look at it. That's the accurate way to look at it. And I really understand, where you are and the kind of structure you come from. So this must just be like a breath of fresh air. This,
Yes, it's really wonderful. One, it's really awesome to be your own business owner. And it's nice. It's really a lot of fun that way.
Mm.
But the other really neat thing to do is because you're trying to help people, and the first thing you want to say is, well, what do I know? But when you really dig in and you realize how much reading and research and everything else you've done to heal yourself, you've really figured out a lot of
Oh
stuff.
my gosh, I
And
know. Yeah.
so you do have something to offer. But it's really wonderful when people come in to get clarity on something, and you can just tell as soon as they're done, they got their answer.
Ah, right.
They just needed to be quiet for a little while, and they get their answer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's so true. It's funny. I, like you, had a lot of health issues. And at some point, I realized that Western medicine didn't have the solutions that I needed to heal. And that's also when my journey started to, looking within and understanding natural methods, other methods, alternative methods,
Mhm.
because Western medicine had offered me everything they could. And they did a good job because they did what they knew, but it just wasn't working for me. And I had to find a solution for my skin problems, for my IBS, for, all these issues that I had because I took loads of antibiotics and had to completely rebuild my gut. And my goodness, I took every drug for acne known to man. And then I had this rare bone infection early on.
Mm.
And so I had intravenous antibiotics for at least a
Wow.
year. Yeah. And then I had chronic ear infections growing up. So I was just like atomic bombing my gut my entire childhood.
Mhm.
And it's taken me my entire adulthood to clean it up. I think the last drugs I was taking were like Accutane and birth control
Wow.
for the acne. But that was like over 20 years ago.
Mhm.
But still, I mean, the cleanup takes its own time.
Mhm. It
And
does.
it's so funny. We don't realize that all the research that we've done to try to find these solutions, is of value to other people because, I don't know if you experience this, but the more I learn, the more I'm like, there's so much more to learn.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like almost at 30 years now. And I'm totally still geeking out on it.
Yeah. It's I still, the big thing is you just have to keep, learning. And and knowing that well, part of my focus is that when people come in here, um, that they appreciate that they can be unlimited. You know, that their body is designed to heal itself,
Oh, yes.
and they just have to let it. And so, the Blue Room gives them an opportunity to be quiet and focus on that. And the and it's what's really wonderful is watching people who either have the anxiety or the depression, and watching them change, as they go through some sessions, and you can just feel they get lighter, and it's really that is really rewarding.
I can hear that. So outside of the blue room, what do you do to achieve, the vitality that you're clearly showing and balance? And how do you resource yourself?
Well, I probably my biggest time sink right now that I really enjoy is gardening, and
Mm.
because back when I was commuting and working, people at work would laugh at me because I would call it vampire gardening because I'd be out there at night with a flashlight because I wouldn't get home till after dark, and I'd be
Right.
weeding by a flashlight.
Oh.
And because I really wanted pretty gardens, and I didn't have a whole lot of time, and so I enjoy the gardening, and I hope to get back to. I always used to. I've always had a couple of horses, and now they've all passed away due to old age. And so at some point, I want to get back and ride again, and take that up again. I just haven't gotten there yet. Maybe as I get the business matures over the next few years, I'll have more time. And but
Yeah.
that's what I really like.
Nice. And for those of you who don't know the countryside of Virginia, it is glorious. And the horse country, they call it, right? That's where kind of where I grew
Yes.
up, is really unparalleled. I mean, I've literally been all over the world at this time, and there's just nothing that's quite as beautiful as the countryside of Virginia or the coast of Virginia. I mean, it's a really, they say Virginia is for lovers, and
Hmm. Yeah.
and I really think it's true.
Hmm.
It is just magnificent green rolling hills, and then you go into the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Shenandoahs, and I mean, it's just magnificent. So I can understand why you'd want to. Plus, just horses are just so lovely, just so
Yeah, they're a
gentle.
very special animal. Very
Mm.
special.
You feel healed in their presence,
Yes,
and they
yes,
just
they're
look right through you.
mhm. Yeah,
Ah.
it is wonderful, and Virginia is really the place to do it.
um, not everyone's going to be able to get to a blue room. And clearly, if you're in Warrenton, Virginia, I hope that you will find where Sarah is, and go to the blue room. How do people find you?
If you go to blueroom.com, which is spelled
Mhm.
BLUROOM.com, it's no E in the blue. If you go to blueroom.com and look under locations, they have all the locations around the world that are authorized blue rooms. And so you'll be able to find the country and find the location for all the blue rooms there.
Well, that's fantastic. And if you can't get to a blue room, what's our next best option in terms of what the blue room has taught you and what people could start to implement as a daily practice in their lives?
Well, I think one of the things that I've noticed is people who meditate on a regular basis uh, instantly um, understand the blue room, whereas someone who doesn't, they enjoy the blue room and they get there eventually as well. But I notice the people who do regular meditation um, uh, know how to get back to that part of their mind on a regular basis. It makes it a little bit easier. So I would say if you wanted to meditate on a regular basis, if you could make that time, even if it's only 5 minutes a day, you're starting to quiet your mind and get, used to giving your mind a break. Therefore, if you're wherever the mind goes, the body follows.
And
So
attention flows and energy
yes.
goes and
Yep. So if you could just take 5 minutes to meditate, even if it's as you're falling asleep at night,
Mhm.
that helps.
That's a great message to leave our listeners with. I'm a huge, well, I just don't like to use the word meditation just because I feel like it's so lofty. It's like this idea that we can sit and think of nothing. And that's such a sophisticated, advanced practice. And I have been meditating for decades.
Hmm.
And I just feel like there's a lot of work still left to be done, but I do notice that my day is completely transformed if I can be still, or at least try,
Yes. Yeah, and you can.
intend to be
I
still.
think it just really helps people.
Yeah, it helps me a lot.
In the people who do energy work also enjoy the blue room. So that's
Mm,
a similar location in the sense of your thoughts. If you're doing the energy healing too, that
yeah.
helps.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And I just do want to mention, I chose blue. This was an intuitive choice. And here is this beautiful blue wall, that you have. And when I envision the ultraviolet light that you describe, it's that really sacred blue, isn't it? It's that bluish purple that we see in the rainbow.
Hmm.
That you never see that color really anywhere else except for inside of a flame.
Yes.
And there's something really sacred to that color
Hmm.
that we
Yes, it's a
can't
wonderful color.
we can't really recreate it in like man. I mean, I've seen a lot of different color palettes. I used to be in the fashion industry and painters. You can't really mimic that.
Yeah, it's really special, and I just know in my experience that when people describe what they see when they're laying there with their eyes closed, this wonderful purple blue, and
Mm, mm.
so there is something very special and unique about it.
Yeah, even in the foods, right? There aren't many foods or even flowers that have that hue.
Hmm.
And those that do have very unique phytocyan and phytonutrient profiles that are, just, like blueberries, right? Or different, I mean, like think about like there aren't that many foods, that I'm really into food, Sarah. So I'm always interested. Like I'm even drinking like, my chlorophyll water here. It's like
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking about the ray of light and how
Hmm.
we can cultivate our light and resource our energy, which is light, tonify the nerve fiber, which is how we channel light, and it's all tied in. So I really appreciate you sharing with us about the Blue Room and about your journey, which is really inspiring.
Thank you.
And just thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing your wisdom and story with
Thank you. It was wonderful to be here, and thanks for asking.
us.